morning. Good morning. This is Professor Charles Jeffries from Rainier Avenue Radio, and today we're going to focus on African American aviators. Okay, that's wanted. If you can see it, you can be it. I'll repeat that phrase. If you can see it, you can be it. And for children to be successful and to a dream, they need to see people in those positions. Okay, and so today we're going to focus on pilots, African American pilots. Okay, so it's really interesting. You think about, I was watching this show, and this guy came on there saying, "Oh, if I looked in the cockpit and saw a black pilot, I'll be terrified." And I thought about that's just not just ignorance, it's just plain stupid. In terms, I said, just an ignorant person, a stupid person. An ignorant person doesn't know anything. A stupid person refuses to do research. And lack of research, I mean, some of the best pilots in America, okay, have been African Americans. And so that's what we're going to do today is just show you a slice of this particular occupation. And right now, it's a good time for African Americans and Latino Americans to go in and become pilots. First of all, one erroneous aspect of what that individual was thinking is to be a pilot, you have to take particular classes, and you have it's a really easy, it's a hard situation to go through. You take the classes, you have to be physically fit, okay, and it was included in those classes. It includes a lot of math. And most of your pilots, particularly airline pilots, have at least a bachelor's degree. And so what we're going to do now is just kind of look at some of the programs. This particular individual here, in this video, he's a test pilot for Boeing. I met him at a conference at Highline College a few years ago. And when he told me he was a pilot, I said, "Hey, I got to take your picture with you, so everybody can see there's black pilots out here." Okay, test pilot. Okay, to be a test pilot, it's just not a regular. You have to physical exam, you have a mental exam. Okay, and you have to be really good at what you do. I mean, any new plane that comes out, this guy flies them before they get out there in the market. This other individual here, he flies for Federal Express. I mean, I ride my bike on a particular bicycle route, and I see him pretty much on a regular basis. And one day I decided to just stop and have a conversation with him. Come to find out, he told me he was a pilot. He pretty much flies between here and Memphis. And so that's why I'll see him sometimes every day, and other times I don't see him for a long time. Okay. And so they're out there. And that's what I want to expose folks to see, that there are African-American pilots out there. Kappa Alpha Psi, that's my fraternity. That's a fraternity I played when I was in college. They started a program in Northern Virginia training African-American high school and middle school students how to fly an airplane. So here's that video.
From Bessie Coleman, the first African-American to get her pilot's license in the 1920s, to the brave Tuskegee Airmen of World War II, there is a rich history of black aviators.
Despite that, though, unemployment numbers that show that African-Americans are underrepresented in that field. But as Matt Gregory found out, an historically black fraternity in Northern Virginia is trying to change all that, one student at a time.
It's Saturday afternoon, and Naomi Hill gets ready.
I'm looking at my altitude
to land a plane
and how far away I am from my airport. So we are learning how to get from one airport to another without being able to see outside of your aircraft.
Twice a month, Naomi and a group of other kids meet at the Kappa Alpha Psi Alumni Building in Alexandria and learn to fly.
Not only are we teaching them about black history, that they are becoming black history.
A few years back, Kappa Alpha Psi's alumni group recognized a career path with a significant racial disparity: aviation. In the last census, the federal government reported roughly only 2% of commercial pilots in the United States were black.
If I had been exposed to something like that when I was 10, 15 years old, I don't know, maybe I would be a pilot.
And they wanted to do something about that, so the brothers built an aviation program.
Looking for a fun program where middle and high school students
In the program, the kids learn the basics, taught by former pilots like naval aviator A.J. Johnson.
So we talk about it, do the tabletop, then we'll go over to the flight room.
This is the really fun part. Using grant money, Kappa Alpha Psi bought 5 flight simulators.
Yoke, which is equivalent to a steering wheel. Throttle controls your speed.
The students practice taking off, navigating, and landing their planes, all from their seats in Alexandria. Then, at the end of the course, they do something really special: fly a real plane for the first time.
It's not as scary as you think it would be, but first time you go up, I'm controlling a plane. I'm literally flying in the air. It's great.
All right. Now, without you can't really talk about flying or pilots without talking about Bessie Coleman. She is the first African American pilot. Okay, she started out as a family of sharecropper.
Have you ever heard of Bessie Coleman? She was the first African American woman to earn her pilot's license. Bessie was born into poverty in 1892 in the state of Texas. As the daughter of an African American maid and a Native American sharecropper, she faced her fair share of obstacles growing up as a woman of color in the early 20th century. It was in 1915, at the age of 23, that Bessie moved to Chicago, Illinois. It was there, while working at a barber shop, that she learned about pilots flying over war-torn Europe. It was at that time that she set her mind on becoming a pilot herself. Now, at that time, flying, becoming a pilot, that was definitely a white man's sport. And Bessie knew that if she was going to become the pilot she desired to be, she was going to have to take some extraordinary steps. So this woman began saving every dime she had so that she could afford to go to flight school. Here's the thing though, there were no white people that were willing to teach a black woman to fly. So she was forced to take things another step further, and that was to begin looking at a flight school in France. She actually began attending school and learned French so that she could fill out the application to go to flight school. After getting her pilot license, Bessie returned to America, where she became a sensation as a stunt flyer and was a huge attraction for air shows all across the nation. For 5 years, this woman was known as the world's greatest female civil aviator. Biographer Connie Plants wrote this about her: every loop-de-loop, barrel roll, and figure eight showed the audience on the ground that an African American could fly a plane. As Bessie Coleman zipped through the sky, her message was as clear as skywriting: don't be afraid to take risks, fly. Now, Bessie was incredibly concerned with racism and discrimination, and when she rose to fame, she did everything she could to fight against those things. One way that she would do this would be to deny becoming a part of any program that discriminated against or forbid African Americans to be in attendance. If she found out you were discriminating against the attendance of African Americans, you would not have one of the largest names in aviation as part of your program. And she stood by that. So the next time you see an airplane, I want you to remember Bessie Coleman, the incredible pilot that flew to new heights while dismantling barriers for both women and people of color. That's that black excellence.
Yeah, now this next few are a series of people who were flying for the military. Good.
There are not that many people in the world who get an opportunity to strap on the F-22 Raptor and fly it. My name is Major Paul Lopez II. My call sign is Loco. They call me Loco because I'm crazy about what I do in the United States Air Force. The first time I flew an airplane by myself was when I was 18 years old. I ended up going to college at North Carolina A&T State University. Once I did ROTC, which is the Reserve Officer Training Corps, I had competed for a pilot slot in college, and I was awarded a pilot slot after I passed the Air Force Officer Qualifying Test, and I've been flying in the Air Force for 12 years. As a fighter pilot, we're known as being at the tip of the spear, which means to be one of the first units called whenever a conflict arises. The F-22 Raptor is an air dominance fighter. It's capable of flying twice the speed of sound, up to 60,000 feet high, and we are extremely maneuverable. We can also carry 6 AIM-120 radar missiles, as well as 2 Sidewinder missiles. We also have a 6-barrel Gatling gun, which fires 6,000 rounds per minute. When you squeeze that trigger, you definitely feel the rumble of the gun, and it is an amazing feeling. Behind the airplane, we have 2 nozzles. Each one of those motors are kicking out about 35,000 pounds of thrust, which means at takeoff, you can essentially almost go vertical and still accelerate as you're climbing in the airplane. For me, for a 12-year career in the Air Force thus far, it seems like it happened in an instant. So I always like to tell people, don't focus on the end goal, enjoy the journey and embrace where you're at, and just work hard and you're gonna get to where you need to get to. You know, I'm humbled, and I think it's just a testimony to the young kids that I get an opportunity to go and talk to just say, hey, if I made it, you can make it, because it all started with the dream with me when I was a young kid.
Can you show the dogfight now? And this next one, talking about the Tuskegee Airmen. They proved the experts wrong. Said black people can't fly. They don't have the intellectual capacity. The brains swell up when they get out of space, so forth. And they became the best pilots in World War II.
October 12, 1944. A squadron of red-tailed P-51 Mustangs of the 332nd Fighter Group soar over Lake Balaton in southern Hungary. After completing an escort mission, they're returning to base in Italy. Among them is Captain Wendell Pruitt and his wingman, Lieutenant Lee Archer, the gruesome twosome, as they are known. As they reach the southern tip of the lake, tiny specks appear on the horizon, a swarm of German Me-109s.
There were more German airplanes in the air than I've ever seen before. Kind of made a little side decision, well, this might be it.
Pruitt, Archer, and the rest of the Red Tails don't flinch.
We didn't run or anything like that. We said, okay, they're up here. There's as many of them as it is of us. We'll take them on.
Throttles firewall, machine guns armed, the Tuskegee Airmen rip through the German formation. The skies above Lake Balaton explode with the roar of piston engines and the staccato burst of machine guns and cannon. With the battle raging all around them, Pruitt and Archer select a target. They'll make a head-on pass with a German 109 just off their nose. The gruesome twosome streak past the enemy. Archer drops in trail of Pruitt as they roll left in pursuit.
He'd pull ahead and I'd pull right behind him and try to stay on him. He was a heck of a pilot, and just staying there sometimes was a full-time job.
Pruitt's tight turn takes the German by surprise. The P-51's 450 cals open up. The pilot leaps from the smoking plane. But just as they pull away from their first victory, another 109 roars in from 3 o'clock high.
He pulled in to take a side shot at Pruitt. And Pruitt slowed down. I guess he chopped throttle or something. I know I did.
Pruitt's quick reaction saves him from certain death. Reducing his speed causes the 109 to overshoot to the side. With careful maneuvering, he can flush the 109 out in front of him. Archer lets his lead do the work. Pruitt manages to force the 109 out. But suddenly, another German bursts into the fight.
And the other one came in to get on Pruitt's tail, not realizing that my only job at that time was to protect Pruitt's tail. So it's the Me-109, there's Pruitt shooting at him, there's the Me-109 shooting at Pruitt, and there's me shooting at him.
Archer expertly leads his mark and fires. The 109 tumbles, smoke belching from the wounded plane. Seconds later, Pruitt fires a long burst into his 109. Another victory for the gruesome twosome. But they're not done yet. They dive back into the furball.
He made a screaming turn back to where all the other aircraft was. And I really wasn't sure that was a great idea at the time.
Pruitt instantly spots a target amidst the chaos. Another 109 is positioned just off his nose.
We got into the other airplanes. Another one picked him up, and he made a head-on pass on him, with me peppering behind him.
Pruitt and Archer roar past the German, guns blazing. Archer follows Pruitt through another crushing left turn.
I guess I was lagging a little bit. Another one came right in behind him. They were suckers. They didn't see the second airplane 1,000 yards behind, armed to the teeth.
Again, Archer's 50 cal sparked to life. Archer speeds past the wreckage. He's now one victory away from making ace, with plenty of targets to choose from.
At that time, there were so many airplanes in the air that I say somehow I lost Wendell O. Pruitt, but it's not true. I saw an aircraft that I could take on, who was coming my way.
Archer is here. The 109 is here. Archer can easily initiate a head-on pass by banking to the right. In an instant, the adversaries merge. They break into each other and begin circling. Whoever pulls tighter will win the contest. The 109 inches closer to firing position. The German's heavy cannon is poised to unleash lethal retribution on Lee Archer. The American has seconds to react. Suddenly, he spots a second 109.
I look out to the right, and I see this guy all by himself, a pigeon, and he was flying straight and level.
Archer brakes instinctively.
Since then, a lot of people say, well, when you turned on this second aircraft, what about the guy behind you? I forgot all about him. I think that's how I got my left wing hit. And it must have been a cannon shot because it had a hole in the wing, huge under the bottom.
Archer latches onto his target. The German counters by pitching over into a steep dive. He's headed for the safety of an airbase. But the maneuver fails. The determined Mustang pilot will not be denied his 5th victory. Lee Archer opens the throttle and pulls away. He's bested the German, but he's broken formation with his flight lead, Wendell Pruitt. Strictly forbidden for a wingman.
I guess the only thing on my mind, how do I explain to Pruitt how this happened?
Now alone and low on ammo, he heads back to base. Archer's 3 victories on October 12th bring his war total to 5. It is an historic achievement made by a skilled and aggressive fighter pilot. The Tuskegee Airmen now have an ace.
I said before, some of the best pilots in World War II. And here's another one. Now we're looking at some female pilots. The YouTube Dragon Lady.
Trailblazer for the U.S. Air Force is now being recognized for her distinguished military career.
Meryl Tengesdahl is the first and only black female U-2 spy plane pilot in history, and now she's been selected as a colonel. Action News Now reporter Brian Johnson joins us now with that. Brian?
Alan, what an inspiration Lieutenant Colonel Tengesdahl is, but you can't just help smile when she describes the perfect feeling of flying a Dragon Lady at 70,000 feet. Lieutenant Colonel Meryl Tengesdahl says she's seen the curvature of the Earth.
You know, you just feel like you're kind of leaving the Earth in some ways. And wow, there is There's a lot of things that we just don't understand out there.
But if there's one thing Tengisdal understands, it's a U-2 spy plane. This August will be the 60th anniversary of the U-2, also called the Dragon Lady.
The aircraft's called the Dragon Lady. Sometimes you have to fight the dragon to dance with the lady, so...
But there's something else worth celebrating at Beale Air Force Base right now, and it has to do with another lady, Tengisdal, the first and only black female to become a U-2 spy plane pilot in 2004. Since then, she's logged 3,400 flight hours and 330 combat hours in places like Afghanistan, Iraq, and Africa, all on her way to being selected recently for colonel at Beale.
I feel like I made it to the top. Being an astronaut would be like the cream, but I've got the whole cake and everything. I'm good.
Think about that. U-2 plane, it flies right on the edge of the Earth's atmosphere, higher than any plane out there. This next one is one of the first African-American female fighter pilots.
Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to fly. I was just fascinated by the sky, the stars, the immense space of the universe, and the fact that it was boundless. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but someday I knew that I was going to defy gravity. Growing up in Parker, Colorado, it was a time when the town was not very diverse. My parents were from Guyana, which is in South America, and we were one of 2 black families that I was aware of growing up. Starting on the playground in kindergarten, you know, kids ask you the things that make you feel different. You know, why your hair is like that, why you're a different color. But being a minority gave me a strength within myself to kind of give me belief in myself that I had purpose, that I had value, and it's okay for me to be here with everybody else. I was in 4th grade when I decided that I wanted to be a fighter pilot. It was the desire to be at that speed above the Earth's surface. It's like the ultimate freedom. But at the time, women were not allowed to fly fighters. And people knew that, and they'd say, well, you can't do that. And I used to tell them when I was little, well, either it'll change because I'm young, or I will change it.
All right. And so once again, we have people, we can do whatever the experts say that we can't do. Make some announcement here. Juneteenth, 2 Juneteenth celebrations. One on this Saturday from 1 to 4 at Safeway, and then on Wednesday the 18th from 5 to 8 at Atlantic Street Center. Okay, and that's also there. And then any other announcements? Mm-hmm. And then new live show Thursday, still above the crowd from 3:30. James Donaldson. Mm-hmm. Okay, and so the main issue here is to share information that we can do a lot of things that experts can't say we can't do, and basically let you know that a lot of pilots are out there. Could you show that one more video? The one
for Lieutenant Junior.
Set takeoff. Flight instruments. Check and set.
Green, it was good.
What are your plans for the future?
Well, I plan to be flying United 747 Heavies.
Prior to going to Hampton University, I had never met a black airline pilot. If you see it, you can achieve it. That's a real thing. And so us together, we maybe didn't see it outside of us, but us, we could see it in each other.
And we're flying. All about this.
Approach Malibu 6901.
I was the only female, so I became like the little sister of the group.
We knew that it was going to be a little more difficult for us to get the jobs because of our skin color. And we wanted to make sure that that was not going to be the obstacle, that we were going to be the best we could be, or even better than others.
After college, we all went our separate ways. Some went to flight instruct, others ended up at regional airlines. I joined the military.
So Terrell and Dave got hired first at Continental. Literally, when they were shaking the hands of the gentleman who hired them, they were asking about me.
We were hungry, we worked hard, we pushed each other, We wanted this dream and we were not going to accept anything less.
I get an opportunity to fly to 787 at United. Each one of these guys has played a role in what I'm doing today.
Our friendship goes beyond just fellow students or peers. It really has become a bit of a family, and it's withstood the test of time. It's incredible that we are in the position now to affect the trajectory of the next generation's path.
And you just show them opportunities that I didn't believe that I had when I was younger.
I think travel in general for young African Americans to just go to another state or even go to another country and experience what other people have to offer in different cultures, it opens up a world for that individual. Aviate is a great program that United has put together, and it will help increase diversity in the cockpit.
My own son is interested in becoming a pilot and is majoring in aviation, in the hope that he'll also follow my footsteps and work his way up to becoming a pilot for United.
The fact that we all ended up here at United is kind of like a storybook ending, because this is where we all dreamt of being. This dream has gone beyond our love of flying. This has become a love for each other. We're always there for each other and always will be.
All right, go out there and search that dream for youth who want to be pilots. Make sure you take algebra, geometry, trigonometry, physics, work those math. If you had be struggling in it, then get you a tutor, because the opportunities are there, the doors are open, and you have a shot to become a pilot. Thank you for your time. This is a great day with you again, and I'll see you next week.